Hello and welcome back to Sound Like on Andertons TV. Today we are going to sound like the one and only Fleetwood Mac, but the early eras of Fleetwood Mac, we are going to sound like the Peter Green era of Fleetwood Mac. So I'm going to try and attempt to be Peter Green, which is basically impossible, but I'm going to try it because I damn well want to. And you're going to be Mr. John McVie, right?
I am.
Okay, so we're going to start with guitar, and I'm going here. The reason I'm going here is because it's $199 and the amp I'm thinking of is very expensive. So the guitar I'm going to use is this East Coast L1. I don't like guitar trees, they move in weird ways. This is the guitar I'm going to use. It's a burst. I like East Coast guitars. They sound great, the pickups are great.
So you got the right kind of tone.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously not got the Peter Green out of phase thing, but you know, I'll talk about that more in the video room. And I'm not going to use pedals to try and emulate that. But this is the guitar I'm going to use. Amp-wise, Peter in the early days did use orange, but modern oranges don't do what the old oranges did, and especially not spring reverb tank. So I need that. And the spring reverb is really kind of key to Peter's, especially his blues tone, because he had loads of reverb. So I'm thinking Fender, and I'm thinking Tone Master, and there is a Princeton, and I'm going to go and look at it. Looking at the Princeton here, I think that's going to be too small.
Yeah?
And I don't think it's going to have quite the right gain.
Okay.
There is a difference between Princeton, Super Reverb and Deluxe. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the Tone Master Deluxe. I'm going to have to order it down from a warehouse. But in the video room, you will see a Tone Master Deluxe. The Princeton is great, but it's not quite... It won't give me what I need.
Yeah.
It won't be quite right for Peter. So I'm going to go for the Tone Master Deluxe and this.
Cool.
And I think that still puts me over budget by a little bit, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal it. So that's me. Very simple. I think no pedals. Peter didn't use pedals. You don't really need it for that early Fleetwood Mac sound. It was Peter with his 59 plugged into either an orange or a Fender. He had a wah pedal at one point, but never really used it. It was just there, but that's it. So that's me sorted. Fender, Les Paul, job's good and turn it all the way up.
Done.
And
hopefully
attempt to be one of the hardest people to sound like in the world. So yeah.
So John uses P basses and jazz basses. I think I'm going to go for the jazz bass kind of thing because you use them more often. So we'll see if we can find one of them. Amp-wise, he did use orange, but again, like Dave was saying, orange don't necessarily do the same thing as they used to, so may or may not work, but we'll see what we can find. So budget jazz bass wise, kind of thinking the Sire, which is $419. That's a Sire V5R. That could do the job. If it doesn't work, you might see a Squire, but Sire or Squire, you guess.
The two S's.
Yeah, so amp-wise. Okay, so immediately there is an orange crush. This might be a case of kind of trying a few different amps, seeing which one does the job. There is the Ashdown Studio, which again, it does that kind of really mid-rangey, oldie-worldy sound really well. So that's a potential.
Definitely not.
There is the Bagheera, which is $349.
John McVie was the last person to cling to orange in Fleetwood Mac. He was the last person to change to Fender. He stuck with his oranges longest.
There you go then. We can use the black orange, not the orange.
It's mouldy. Cool.
Yeah.
So, is that it?
Yeah, pedals wise, there aren't really any. I just saw Caleb in the background.
Pedals.
Sorry.
Yeah, you didn't really use any, so I'm going to see if I can get away without any.
The amp and bass, guitar and amp.
Yep.
Cool,
Pretty
easy
much
peasy.
it. Sorted.
So, well, easy peasy. I've got to try and sound like one of the guitar greats of all time, Peter Green, and it's just impossible. So this is going to be fun. I've already failed, by the way.
How have you already failed?
Because I just know.
Because you weren't born Peter Green.
Exactly. Anyway, back to the video room to see me fail.
back in the video room. That was really, really fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Me too. That was on par with Deep Purple.
Yeah.
With the Katana and the Glenn Hughes.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
was really nice. I enjoyed that.
It felt really similar. It's reminding me of that one.
Yeah, it felt like looser and just kind of like you can kind of go for it. Whereas the other sounds like we've done today, it felt a bit more kind of like they have to be like this. And that, when you're recording, can drive you up the wall.
Yeah.
Whereas,
and when you don't have the gear that necessarily, or you don't know how they're doing it because it's all plugins.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think we got pretty close. I did go with the jazz bass. This is a Sire V5R. I think the R is for Rosewood.
is it roasted maple neck?
It could be. It's roasted maple on the back,
Answers on a postcard.
It's rosewood on the front, so one of them. And then I went for the Orange Crush 50, and that does the job like I thought it would. Sounds amazing. John McVie's tone is a bit of a strange one because on its own, it's not actually that nice. It's like a kind of underwater sounding bass tone. I've got the tone all the way on, bridge pickup off, and I'm just using neck pickup. But like John, I'm just playing over the bridge pickup. So it's kind of, you end up with this kind of underwatery sound. It's a nice sound, but it's kind of it's not the most conventional by today's standards.
No.
But when you get it with the guitar, which is in the room quite a harsh sound, the two of them just fill the void perfectly. So it works really, really well. The amp settings are treble is at 11 o'clock, mids are at 9 o'clock, frequency is at about 1 o'clock. Bass is at 1 o'clock, and the blend is off, and the gain is off.
Cool.
Yeah, so
Easy
fairly
peasy.
straightforward, just straight into the amp. And I think I'll do a price check of what that came to later in the video.
Rock and rolls. So, moving to guitar, I went for an East Coast to keep the budget down because I've actually gone over budget by quite a lot here. And I will tell you how much later. But there is a reason for that. I'm not doing it because I'm a lunatic, although there is that as well. I'm doing it because of the way this amp sounds. You can get close to the Peter Green tone with katanas and other valve amplifiers and other solid-state amps and whatever, but it doesn't have the right kind of thing. And the first time I plugged into, funnily enough, it was a deluxe, it's why I've chosen a deluxe, and plugged a Les Paul into it, I was like, that's that Peter Green thing. It's like extraordinarily dynamic, it stings at the same time, but it's really warm, quite fat and full, but thin. It's everything. It's really strange, but it does all these dynamic things that Peter's extraordinarily good for. It goes from whisper to a scream I'll show you what I mean. So Peter would do these amazing kind of slow blues things. If I turn the reverb up, where he would kind of go from licks like this. Where some notes he would play were almost inaudible. Like, they're almost not there, but then he would go from like, to, and that's so hard to do. But there's something about the gain structure of the Fender Tone Masters, especially the Deluxe, in my opinion. The Super Reverb's close and the Twin's close, but the Deluxe is the one that just has the right thing for Peter. And in my personal opinion, that's as close as I've ever got. And I've been after Peter Green's tone for decades, and I'm still nowhere near. I'm not Peter Green, and it's as good as I can do with my cack-handed approach at trying to be him. But it does what it needs to do, and that's the reason I went for it. And it's the same thing with the bridge pickup as well. It's got that kind of sting, where it's kind of, where it goes at you, goes at you. But at the same time, it's so nice to play because it's quite forgiving. It's just everything, and that's the reason I went for this, and that's the reason I've gone over budget. Because in my personal opinion, if you want to sound like Peter Green, like it's the old amps. It's the old amps. It's the old Fenders, the old Oranges. It's loads of reverb. If you're doing blues, it's that thing. I could do that all day on this amp, and it just splishes and splashes around. And that's the thing. That's the reason why I've gone absolutely mental on the amp, and I've gone for a bit of a cheaper guitar. But in all fairness, this is my favourite guitar I've played today.
Yeah, this is my favourite bass.
Yeah, and I do love East Coast. I've actually got one, and I've actually Peter Green modded that one as well. So let me just talk about that quick as well, because that is an elephant in the room as well. Peter Green is obviously renowned for have that out of phase tone on the neck pickup. It's backwards. You know, it was repaired by Selma, and they repaired it wrong, and they put it back in with different wire, and apparently the magnet back to front, but apparently that's skipped. I mean, who knows? But it's got that really weird honky nasal thing of like, you know, Need Your Love So Bad and all stuff like that. And you could get that with a guitar like this very easily. All you need to do is take the pickup apart. It's not as scary as it sounds. And you just take the magnet out from under the thing and you flip it around and put it back in, and you've got the greeny tone. And that's that. But obviously I can't do that today, so I can't show you the out of phase thing. But it's a very easy mod to do. It really is. It doesn't take a great deal of time. It just takes patience and to make sure you don't ruin the wires on the humbucker. But again, like I say, there is method in my madness of why I picked this thing. It's an old amp thing. It's the way the old blues guys did it. They cranked the reverb, they cranked the amps, and they just went. Did that, go mental basically, but
does the sound.
Yeah, it does the thing. Yeah. It's oldie worldy. And again, a lot of the amps like the guitar is probably the closest, but they don't do that, and that's the thing. That's so important. That Peter Green thing is to have that right kind of like dynamic sound and the way it is.
So,
and yeah.
So how over budget are you then?
I am £128 over budget, so it's quite a jump. But, in my personal opinion, it doesn't get any better. And also another thing as well is like, you know, you could do this with a Valve Valve Deluxe as well. You'll die because I've got it volume all the way up on 10. So just so you know that as well. I've got volume on 10, trebles at 5, no bass. Reverb I had at 5 for the slow blues, 3 for kind of Green Manalishi, and the tremolo is not used. But that's the thing, with a valve amp, you'd have to attenuate it. With the Tone Masters, you can just turn it down on the back and your jobs are good and you're not going to kill your cat. And also you don't have weight either. But that's another reason why this is great, because you've got the attenuator on it as well, so you can actually have it on 10 and not worry for your life.
Yeah.
So there is method in my madness. I've not just done it willy-nilly just because I want to be a poser with a Fender amp. It's just simply, out of all the amps I've tried in my life to try and get as close to Peter Green's tone, this is the closest I've ever got. And that's it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've spent £1,000, what's another 128 quid?
Exactly, you know, you could just punch the assistant in the face and run off out the shop once you got it, you know. You get it for free then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'm happy with that. Again, it sounds right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does.
And again,
it sounds great.
I'd much rather have an expensive amp and a cheap guitar than an expensive guitar and a cheap amp, personally. What's your price? We don't know, do we?
I need to do a price check.
Price check!
Ooh, price check.
So this together is $670. So nowhere near budget.
All right, give over.
Ew.
Oh, hang on. That's just to warn her off.
Hey, on my loser instrument.
Yeah, at least I've got all the strings here. So no, stop
Subscribe.
it. Yes, please like and subscribe. Links to all this gear is in the description box below. You can win a clone when we get to 1 million subscribers. When we get to every milestone, you can win things. There's extra videos all over. They're all over here. Look. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again on another Soundlike on Andertons TV. Other than that, turn into my game show host again. Thank you very much. Goodbye now.
Bye.